Welcome back to the poll position. In this video, we will be discussing the general election in Wales, the polls, and the importance of Wales in a wider UK context. Wales is a very interesting case with aspects of Welsh politics that somewhat overlap the political dynamics of Scotland and England. On the one hand, there is a clear battle between Labour and the Conservatives, which is similar to much of England, whilst on the other hand, Wales has its own nationalist party known as Plaid Cymru, that is similar in many ways to the Scottish National Party, but differs in that it does not hold power, nor is it the dominant force in Welsh politics. There is also the fact that Wales is the only part of the UK where Labour holds government, creating a further dynamic that may affect the results. Let's start by having a look at the battlegrounds. There are two main battlegrounds between Labour and the Conservatives, with the northern and southern stretches of Wales being largely a straight fight between the two parties. The north consists of many industrial towns that have always traditionally voted Labour, but went blue in 2019, including towns like Wrexham. Labour are hoping to pick up seats across the board, from Ynys Môn to Clwyd East. The south contains the cities of Swansea and Cardiff, and is by far the most heavily populated area of Wales. The south managed to stay reliably red in 2019, with Labour only dropping one seat in that election, and looking likely to make further gains. The western coast of Wales comprises mainly of coastal towns and is where Plaid Cymru is strongest, with them electing 4 MPs by relatively comfortable margins in 2019, but now face a greater challenge with their seat share halving under the new boundaries. Nevertheless, they are hoping to pick up seats and return to Parliament with up to 4 seats. There is also the east and central parts of Wales that tend to be battlegrounds between the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives, and are somewhat similar to many seats in southern England in terms of their electoral composition. Wales has remained a strong area for Labour for the better part of a century, and if polls are anything to go by, it's likely that this will continue to remain the same, with the Labour Party winning in both recent Westminster and devolved elections for their parliament known as the Senedd. This does not mean it's necessarily smooth sailing for Labour, as a recent investigation into financial donors who back the newly appointed First Minister Vaughan Gething has threatened to damage the party's credibility, with the First Minister actually losing a non-binding vote of no confidence in the Welsh Parliament. It's worth saying that overall this hasn't seemed to move much in the polls, as we'll get into in a minute. There is also the point that there were 2 members from the Labour Party who were not present for the vote due to personal health reasons, and that if they had been present, it was likely the vote would have failed. Currently, the latest poll from Redfield and Wilton, taken between the 5th and 7th of June, puts Labour at a comfortable lead of 27 points over the Conservatives, with a vote share of 45%, whilst Conservatives and Reform are both roughly tied on 18% each. There is also Plaid Cymru, who are currently sitting on 11%, the Lib Dems on 5%, and the Greens on 4%. This tells us that Labour is on track for a comfortable win in Wales, which is unsurprising considering the party's dominance, and shows us that the recent controversy is unlikely to change things, at least in the short term. The Labour vote share in this poll is roughly just over 4 points higher than in 2019, whilst the Conservative vote share is halved from the 36% they received. Whilst Plaid Cymru and Reform, the latter having ran as the Brexit Party at the time, increased by roughly 1 point and 13 points respectively. The Reform Party receiving the same vote share as the Conservatives is particularly interesting and will worry many within the Conservatives who see Reform as a vote splitter, supposedly giving Labour more seats. This is all while Reform are attempting to prove that they are the new dominant force in British Conservative politics. Something that must be considered is the boundary review, where Wales is set to lose 8 seats in Parliament, bringing their total down from 40 seats to just 32. This means that Welsh MPs now have less power over legislation, meaning it could be argued that Wales is less significant in British politics as a result. Despite the loss of a number of constituencies, Wales is still an important battleground for this election, with numerous seats that Labour needs to win in order to shore up any hypothetical majority. Whilst a good performance from the Conservatives, Reform or Plaid Cymru would drive Labour to rethink its strategy and attempt to win back support of Welsh voters, particularly as we are less than 2 years away from an election in the Senedd where Labour hold power. Wales does hold importance to the major parties and the wider UK, and its importance should never be underappreciated. Thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to check out my next video covering the election in Northern Ireland. As always, have a great day and I'll see you next time.